Hello, and welcome to I Hate Talking, a podcast about talking, including etymology, frustrating topics, current events, and other random subjects. I'm Adam.
And I'm Steph. We are married, and we invite you into these discussions with us as we talk about the good and the bad of talking.
We hope you enjoy today's episode. Welcome to episode 36 of I Hate Talking.
Hi, everyone.
So, we have some topics in mind and a word in mind as well for this episode, but it will not be an episode about synesthesia since we have not done any research on that.
Mm-mm.
And actually, I think we're even mispronouncing that word because I think we're adding an extra syllable in there. I think it's actually just synesthesia. Perhaps, maybe not. More to come. We'll find out.
Okay.
And it's not going to be about sourdough at this point in time.
Nope.
Nor is it going to be the long-awaited keto episode.
No, that'll be a good New Year's. Everyone on the New Year's holiday diet.
That could be. And I heard of a new, I don't know if it's a fad or just something that I haven't run across before, the 30-30-30. Have you heard of that diet?
Uh-huh. I did that for a little while.
I think this is something different because it's protein related. And it's
No.
Do you do keto at the same time that you do 30-30-30?
You do not have to do keto. You just choose a diet. But it's 30 grams of protein, 30 minutes when you first wake up, and then 30 minutes of exercise, right? I did that, and you told me not to do it. Are you doing it now?
No, because, well, there's of an interest to me because apparently like this keto guy does it and has like a keto version of it.
Because I'm not keto, you didn't like it. But now keto people approve, so you approve?
I will have to do more research.
We're going to talk about this
I
later.
have not come to a conclusion on this.
Okay.
So, not synesthesia,
No.
not sourdough, not keto.
Nope.
We are actually going to be talking about our word or phrase of the episode first, and that word or phrase is the word launder.
Not laundry, but launder.
Not laundry, launder. That is correct.
Okay.
So one would maybe not think that this has a very robust etymology because it's something that you use pretty consistently, probably in everyday life. You're going to wash your clothes or launder your clothes. You have a laundromat. There's a lot of words with this root word in that I think are part of the normal lexicon and everyday usage. But it is once again from French as we trace back its roots. So not sure if that's a trend that we enjoy doing French words as our word or phrase of the episode, or if that is just perhaps, again, maybe ones that are not well known in terms of their etymology, but it does have a aspect of Old French in it as well.
Maybe it's a sign that we should go to France one day.
Perhaps one day. We will have to see. That was not in my purview. I wonder if purview is a French word.
Ooh, another new word.
Maybe next time. So going back to the original etymology in the Greek and Latin roots, this actually comes from the Latin, from the word lavar, which means to wash. And then it also came to be used as another related Latin word, lavanda, which is things to be washed.
It sounds like Wanda, like Help Me Wanda.
I'm not familiar with the reference.
It's a song.
This must have been before my time.
Well, it was, but it's still famous. Well, it's a Beach Boys song, so that must be why you don't know it.
That could be why I do not know it. And it's interesting to note that we will actually be talking about songs later in this episode. So
well, there you go.
Maybe that's why it was on your mind as well.
Maybe.
And then it came to be used from the Latin in Old French, lavender, which again means things being washed or the actual noun of the things that are washed. And then from French into Old Middle English, lavender, or just lavender, I guess, would be how we pronounce it in the normal pronunciation. But I think there would be a bit of emphasis on the lavender because that also, I think, has the lavender, that VE becomes the letter U. So not only the word going through the etymology of different languages, but I also think some of the iconography being changed as the letters themselves merge with each other. And that is perhaps beyond the scope of this episode, but I guess there is some history here that I'm maybe slightly aware of, but don't know much about, where the letter U did not really exist in alphabets, that the letter V stood for both the vowel sound and the consonant and was sort of used interchangeably. So I believe that's what we're seeing here happen with the Old English becoming the lavender, the VE, become the letter U in launder in the modern usage.
Okay.
So that is the etymology of the word launder, from Latin and a variety of words within the Latin to the Old French to the Old Middle English and now our current English. And the word that even I reference with some of the usage in the modern day usage is washing something, or referring to typically clothes or linens, that you're going to launder those things to make them clean. But there is also another definition that was in our mind for this particular word or phrase of the episode.
Okay.
And in fact, this was your idea.
Oh, yeah. I was like, why are you looking at me? Yeah, I was thinking about it in the terms of launder, as in laundering money.
Precisely. And that would be the second verb usage, is to conceal, typically of something around money obtained illegally or by transfers involving foreign banks or either legitimate or illegitimate businesses. And it can be used more generally to just have a meaning of altering, especially around information, to make it appear more acceptable. And there's actually a noun that I was not familiar with for launder as well. It is, quote, a trowel for holding or conveying water, especially in mining, and one used for washing ore, or a channel for conveying molten metal from a furnace or container to a ladle or mold. So it actually does have a tiny aspect of washing in it, because it's used for washing ore, or at least the conveyance and holding of whatever this particular ore or water or molten metal is. But it actually can be used as a noun, launder.
Okay. Huh. Okay.
So there you go. We learned something new as well, in addition to our etymology and the verb usage.
Nice.
So the reason that this word became eligible for consideration in this podcast is because of some laundering that you did. And we do a lot of laundry because we do have kids and they are very active, and we have animals and a busy lifestyle that does dirty our clothes in a whole different variety of ways. But that is not the laundering that we were referring to when we were thinking of this particular word of the episode.
No, you're right, though. We, as a whole, and a big part of my day is laundry for our clothing. But the reason the word was coming up and I wanted to learn about it was because a funny story. A couple of months ago, we had our anniversary, and it was kind of a big one. And so I knew I wanted to do something special. So I hired somebody to write you a song about our relationship. But we share finances, and I knew that you would see it. It would not be a surprise if you saw the purchase, or even if I got out cash. Like, that would be very shocking. You'd have a lot of questions. Why did I take out so much cash? So for several months, I Venmo'd my sister money, just little bits here and there, and she kept it. And then she paid the gentleman to write the song. So I was very proud of that. It was a long process, and she was so helpful. I appreciated her participation. And that was one of the first things you said when you got the gift. You were like, "How did you pay for this?" And I was like, "Oh." So I explained to you, and you're like, "So you laundered the money?" Like, no, maybe. Wait, I don't know. I guess so, but it wasn't illegal. It was basically my sister just holding the money for me, little bits at a time. Instead of buying a coffee, I'd give her. She'd put the money aside for me. But that's why it wasn't illegal, right? And that's why I wanted to learn about laundering. I don't think what I did was wrong, and I don't think I'll get away with it again, ever.
Well, you are quite correct that I don't think it is illegal, right? You did not do anything under the auspices of trying to do that for personal financial gain in a way that would somehow hurt or injure some other financial party, but that you were doing it in a way to keep it secret, which, if anybody is wondering and doesn't get the context on that, you can go back and listen to our 3-part mini-series on money from episodes 15, 16, and 17. And it was episode 17 where we talked about different ways of tracking costs and talked about how every credit card transaction and bank account transaction flags an alert to us so that we see every charge. And I actually did, in fact, see the Venmo charges, but because, as you said, they were in smaller increments and were perhaps noted as like a small gift or something that you were reimbursing your sister or other family member for, that they passed my test for validity and did not give any second thought.
Right, yeah, because often for me, it is a pretty common back and forth with friends and family that we Venmo each other. Like if we're out, we get a meal. One of us will like just Venmo the other person our part of it or that sort of thing. So I knew that, $20 here, $10 there would not be concerning for you.
Precisely. And while the song composition was relatively expensive, I guess, for what we would typically buy each other for a gift, it's not outrageous, but it did take several different transactions of those small incremental amounts to arrive at the final total that was needed, but never had a clue.
Yeah, that was so fun. So were you mad that I figured out a way to keep the money from you?
I suppose I would be mad, or would have been mad, if it had been for a true nefarious purpose and you were, squirreling the money away for some other reason or whatever the case may be. But since it was explicitly for a gift, that did not anger me. I was maybe a bit disappointed in myself that I was so easily taken by the fact that you use this method of laundering our own money and therefore hiding the intent of where these funds were actually going. But nonetheless, no anger that I'm aware of was present.
So I wasted my opportunity then.
This was your one shot. I do now take a look at the Venmo transactions a bit more closely, but you use this particular method and now it's sort of burned.
Oh, no.
And the cool thing about this particular song is that as we have paid for it and reimbursed the artist and their company as such, that we now own the rights to the song. So we can actually be able to play the song at the end of this episode.
Yeah, I thought he did a really good job. I really appreciated working with him, and he asked like questions about our relationship and things that were important to me about it. And I was really pleased. Also, I did it intentionally in a genre I feel like you like to listen to because I wanted you to listen to it often. I prefer like country music. I know you like more harder metal stuff. And so I intentionally wanted it not to be too much like maybe the Beach Boys that you don't listen to. When I played it for you, I was like super excited. You'll like see commercials for this kind of thing a lot, and people like set up a hidden camera to get the person's expression. And I tried that a little bit. It didn't work well because also I knew that if I set up the camera, you'd see it, and then that's weird and tip you off. So I was just like, hey, I want to play this song for you. But like you got like really weird, not weird, but like surprised when it started because it's not a song I would typically listen to. So then I was like, oh no, maybe I chose the wrong thing. Maybe he doesn't like, this is not good after all.
Indeed, and that was precisely the reason for my reaction. It was surprise at the fact that you would have enjoyed the song and wanted to share it because it definitely was not within your genre of normal consumption, but that was the very only reason, because I actually did enjoy the song and did enjoy the genre and the balance that it had, but it was because of the genre itself and the fact that you were sharing it with me that made me surprised.
Yeah. And also going back to it, and this was the whole family ordeal because I had my brothers also listen beforehand to the artist. Like, do you like him or do you like him? Which one's better for Adam? And they agreed with the person I chose. And then I had them listen to the song afterwards before I gave it the approval. So it was like a whole family. All my siblings were involved. It was great.
It was a very clandestine operation.
There you go. Yeah. And then when in the song did you realize it was for you?
So there was a particular verse that did mention some very specific things. So I think I'd have to look at the lyrics again, but I believe like the first verse and chorus were like generic enough that I didn't really think anything of it. But then definitely the second verse, and then it obviously has our names in it too. So that was by then 100% sure that this was very curated for our own consumption and that you had done this in some form or fashion.
Yeah, it was fun watching your reaction, try to process it. Like I said, it's a good song. Our kids walk around. Their names are not in it, but they are referenced, and so they love that. They like sing the song around the house, and it's cute. I like it. It's a nice keepsake as a family.
And if you are a subscriber and listener to our other podcast that is hosted by Dark A, Nature Facts with Dark A, you may recognize the tune because that is his intro and outro music, just the instrumental portions of the song.
Yeah, that is true. We use it for his podcast, so you can go on over there and give it a listen.
Or stay tuned to the very end of this episode and you can hear in its full entirety.
Yes, that's our story of our song, and I love that. Yeah, we have the rights to it now and can just always have this memory. Like going back to how I acquired it, paying for it with the laundering. Is laundering in that sense always illegal? You said it's always got to be like nefarious, right? Like the purpose is to hurt another person or entity. Like, I don't know too much about that necessarily, except for what you see on TV, right? Like people laundering money overseas because they don't want to pay taxes or whatever. But I don't know anyone that does that as far as I know. But you see it on TV all the time.
Right. So the aspect of laundering money is essentially concealing the origins of the money, wherever that came from, either by transferring money to foreign banks or legitimate businesses. So typically, the money that you are laundering will always be obtained illegally, and therefore that makes the laundering of the money illegal as well. So this could be either by some form of theft where you are stealing the money and then therefore you have this large pile of currency or cash that you then have to bring into your own personal accounting, and you would do that through money laundering, or you could be gaining these ill-gotten funds by some form of illegal activity. Perhaps one that comes to my mind in the TV realm that you mentioned is Breaking Bad, where they are laundering the money from their sales of illicit drugs and doing that through a car wash, right? I was going to say laundromat, but I'm not sure.
Oh, man, it's such a good show. Is it a car? Oh, yeah.
It was a car wash,
I forgot about it. It was a car wash, yes.
So we definitely know that the obtaining of the money is typically going to be illegal. And then, therefore, because the obtaining of the money is illegal, then the laundering also becomes illegal as well.
So tell me if I'm wrong, because I've always pictured this in shows when you hear about it. Is it called laundering because maybe this sounds insane to say out loud. In my head, I picture it because like laundry that you wash and it's clean. I always picture them take the money. I'm obviously like, I picture them washing it, but I know they're not like doing that, but basically scrubbing its history, right? Because often you can track where a dollar's been or where something's been, right? Based on its transactions. And obviously when you do like electronics, it's way easier. You can track where all that money has gone electronically. But with this money, if you moved it here and then you moved it there and you moved it there, it's hard to remember, track who originally had it, right?
That is the idea with electronic transactions, is that those electronic transactions are going to be able to be traced from all those different movements, and that typically money laundering will involve currency where you have cash that is being infused into some legitimate business and then therefore claimed as part of their revenue and their income, but nobody actually paid them money for any goods or services.
Right. So do you understand what I'm saying? Like, is that super off base or ridiculous?
That they can track currency in dollar bills?
Yeah. In my head, I just picture them like washing. I know, okay, that sounds dumb. I know they're not washing it like with soap and water, but kind of like, so you don't know who had it last. No.
Well, I suppose that if they're
There's
very
serial numbers on them.
That's true. They do have dedicated serial numbers and they're unique. So perhaps for larger currency bills, they would be tracked through the serial number and they could record, that this bank received it and that it went from, this local bank to this state bank to wherever it goes throughout its travels among the United States as it is spent and redeemed and so on and so forth. So I don't know if there would really be anything where they are changing the serial number of a large denomination bill. Perhaps what you are thinking of is called bleaching money, where counterfeiters take low denomination bills like a $1 bill or $2 bill and then
$2 bill. That's fancy.
Yeah, or they would take a low denomination bill, like a $1 bill or a $5 bill, or even in this world of inflation, a $10 bill, and then use that material because of the special paper material that is used for U.S. currency, and then print a counterfeit bill of a higher denomination. So they're basically utilizing that as their raw material. So that's bleaching of money, or sometimes maybe called washing money, but basically they're using that solution to get all the markings off so that they're left with the blank paper and then reprint the larger denomination.
That's not what I was thinking of, but did I tell this story before where I was at the store a while back and the person in front of me was paying in coins and the sweet cashier had apparently never seen a dollar coin before and was really confused. And she had to go get her manager. And while they were waiting, I almost asked the lady, like, hey, can I buy those from you? Like, give me your dollar coins and I'll pay your thing. Because dollar coins are super cool and rare. Or I think at least I don't see them around. But I didn't because maybe it was sketch. I don't know. I didn't want the cashier to feel bad because she was like super confused anyways. But I told you about it and you were like, oh, you should have bought them. That would have been cool. It makes me think of that when you're talking about the $2 bill. I thought of that. I'm like, yeah, I want $2 bills. I don't want to pay for a soda with that. Like those are cool to keep.
Yep, we always keep our eyes out for those dollar coins. Even some of the $50 coins, if they are minted before a certain year, I think 1969, prior to that, they had a higher silver content, so those are more valuable. And then the $2 bills as well are, depending on which print series they are, they can be $10 up to many, many, many thousands of dollars.
Our one son has a penny that is estimated at like $10, right? And he loves to tell people, like, he adds it in with his amount of money he has. If he's got maybe $15, he'll be like, I've got $25. I'm like, well, not really, but okay.
There you go. So we also did some offline research and did a little bit more research into this idea that you have of changing the serial numbers of a large bill. And that does exist, and it is typically just classified as a kind of money laundering, where somebody might change the serial number to make it so that it's harder for anyone to track where the origin of that particular bill was, and make it harder to link back to its original source. So that is, under the grand scheme of things, part of money laundering as well.
So it's a very small part of it, but I was correct.
You were correct in that aspect. I don't even see that it has like a specific name. It just sort of says that it's
money laundering.
It is money laundering.
Well, I'll take that win then.
Now, it is against the law, so I would imagine that they describe it in some sort of terminology for
some codes or something.
If it is somehow defaced or changed, that they would refer to that in some word, but I'm not finding that either. But nonetheless, it does appear that probably not as frequently, but part of money laundering is changing the serial numbers.
Okay, and also, is it really, truly illegal here in the U.S. to draw on your money? I always feel like people say that, but then you see it happen all the time.
So I believe that is illegal. Obviously, the tracking of that is going to be very difficult and probably not really worth the while for any of the government agencies to really try to crack down on that. So it's probably a little bit more of just trusting that people are going to do the right thing and not deface their currency. And then I suppose that in some places, if it's really bad, that if it is either in very poor condition or extremely defaced, that obviously the person that you are paying has the right to refuse that as a mechanism for payment. So something to keep in mind if you are even receiving this bill or defacing the currency, that you may not be able to use it. The specific code here is from Title 18, Section 333, and it says, quote, whoever mutilates, cuts, disfigures, perforates, unites, or cements together, or does any other thing to any bank bill, draft note, or other evidence of debt issued by any National Banking Association, Federal Reserve Bank, or Federal Reserve System with intent to render such items unfit to be reissued shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 6 months or both.
Oh, wow.
And I guess there's some things that are under the judicial realm of what is considered defacing of currency. There's, I guess, some people that have done artwork on currency, and that is considered illegal under this, but perhaps other things not quite as serious, and those probably not necessarily prevent the currency from being used and circulated.
And what about squish pennies? Because that can't be illegal since they're at the zoo and Disney and all those places, right? I'm getting all my money questions answered tonight. Making sure I'm on the up and up.
So according to this first search result, because this was not a planned question for this episode, but in the same title, earlier section, it says that you cannot alter or mutilate coins for fraudulent use. So as long as they're not going to be fraudulently used, alter and mutilate your coins all you want.
So that's why some people can turn them into jewelry or squish pennies.
Precisely. As long as you're not laundering the coins, so to say, and trying to maybe make a nickel into a quarter or something like that,
Okay.
that as long as you're not fraudulently doing something to the coin, that apparently you're allowed to do that. So squish pennies are allowed.
There you go. Okay.
Now, the only other caveat, I guess, to that is that you can't melt down the coins and sell them for scrap for their market value, which I guess there would be probably some coins that are more valuable
Well,
for the
old
metal.
pennies,
Old
right?
pennies, right, would be more valuable for the actual copper that's in them. So I guess that's sort of quote unquote classified under the fraudulent use, but that is specifically called out as illegal.
Okay.
So if you've enjoyed this conversation about some of the aspects of laundering and how it relates to the clandestine production of personal music for anniversaries, we hope you will like and share this episode and just share it with one friend, and they may enjoy it as well.
Yeah, they might need to know this so that they don't break the law.
Very possible. And as promised, as we conclude, we will end with that very song. So, from your friends at I Hate Talking, until next time, remember, it is only through talking that we begin the journey to understanding.
They were wet, yeah, they said I do. Filled with their love of God, together they pray. So grateful for one another every single day. And on our 15th anniversary, yeah, every year keeps getting better. Across the globe, we relax and breathe. Through our faith, we see the world from Mexico to Hawaii. With our 4 boys, life is pure joy. Together, forever living happily. For those first 5 years, they saw all the sights they could see. Then came their 4 boys and soon living room dance parties. Adam held Steph's hand as each son came to life. A truly blessed family, a truly perfect